Lalim clash of August 23, 2025. A news analysis. The armed struggle in Myanmar's western frontier has entered another volatile phase with the reported clash in and around Lallim village, located in Tamu Township of Sagaing Region, on August 23, 2025. The incident, though still unfolding in terms of independently verifiable details, highlights the fragile and violent balance of power in the Indo-Myanmar borderlands. Junta, local People's Defense Forces, and a constellation of ethnic armed groups continuously test each other's strength. The confrontation in Lalim is significant not because it involved a large-scale territorial battle, but because of what it reveals about the larger dynamics in Tamu. This sector is a key artery for both the Myanmar military and the resistance. Its proximity to India's Manipur state makes every exchange of fire a potential trigger for diplomatic tension, refugee flows, and the entanglement of ethnic insurgent groups straddling both sides of the border. According to accounts emerging from resistance-aligned networks, the incident began when a patrol belonging to the Thadou Defense Army, a smaller but committed force in the region, was moving through the outskirts of Lalim without sufficient preparation or backup. The patrol reportedly came under sudden ambush from junta-aligned armed groups. In the chaos that followed, the TDA suffered 2 immediate fatalities, and 1 fighter was left wounded. In battlefield terms, this would have been a minor tactical setback for the TDA, yet it triggered a larger chain of events once reinforcements were summoned. The TDA managed to send a radio signal to the wider network of People's Defense Force units active in the region. Within a short window, contingents from the Kuki National Army, Burma, the Kachin Independence Army, and the Kachin National Army reportedly responded. Their arrival on the battlefield transformed a small ambush into a larger engagement. Heavy gunfire ensued for hours, and local sources within the resistance community claim that as many as 10 junta soldiers may have been killed in the clash, though this figure remains unconfirmed. Placing this clash in the wider operational landscape requires a closer look at Tamu and its strategic geography. Tamu Township sits in Sagaing Region, directly abutting India's Manipur border town of Mora. Since 2021, when Myanmar's military coup ignited nationwide resistance, Sagaing has become one of the hottest theatres of conflict. Unlike some other regions where ethnic armed organizations dominate the insurgent landscape, Sagaing has seen a proliferation of local PDFs, community militias, and alliances that operate with varying levels of coordination. Tamu specifically has long been militarily significant as a supply corridor and a potential lifeline for both the junta and the resistance forces. In November 2023, resistance forces captured Kampat, not far from Tamu, in what was seen as one of their most dramatic battlefield victories. That success raised expectations that Tamu itself could eventually be encircled. By April 2025, reports indicated that resistance units had managed to blockade Tamu town, severely straining junta supply lines and morale. This encirclement strategy explains why skirmishes like the one at Lalim recur. Both sides are testing the cordon, probing weaknesses, and attempting to consolidate control over villages and access routes that might serve as resupply points. Lalim, while not a major town, has emerged as a tactical waypoint in this struggle. Its location places it within striking distance of important rural trails and minor roads linking Kampat to Tamu. For the resistance, holding or at least denying Lalim to junta forces helps reinforce the larger encirclement. For the junta, retaining influence in the area is necessary to prevent the total isolation of Tamu. The key players in this clash reflect the broader patchwork of alliances now shaping the war in northwestern Myanmar. The Thadou Defense Army represents fighters from the Thadou or Zo ethnic communities who have joined the anti-junta struggle. Their numbers are modest compared to some other armed organizations, but their knowledge of local terrain and community support makes them an important piece in the resistance jigsaw. The People's Defense Force, the umbrella structure of the parallel national unity government, provides the backbone of operations. Its units are often locally organized, but receive broader coordination, training, and sometimes weaponry from established ethnic armies. In Lalim, the reinforcement came from some of the most seasoned of these allies. The Kuki National Army Burma has steadily deepened its cooperation with PDFs in the Tamu front over the past 2 years. Reports throughout 2024 and 2025 have placed KNAB units in joint firefights with both junta columns and rival insurgent groups from across the border in India's Manipur Valley. Their presence at Lalim shows once again that the resistance camp is knitting together cross-ethnic cooperation when under pressure. The Kachin Independence Army and the Chin National Army are also crucial in this configuration. The KIA, one of Myanmar's oldest and most battle-hardened insurgencies, has been a vital supporter of PDFs across the north. The CNA, though more localized to Chin State, has expanded its operations into Sagaing to strengthen anti-junta lines. The combined involvement of KIA and CNA fighters at Lalim suggests that reinforcements were coordinated and not accidental, indicating an operational rhythm that goes beyond ad hoc cooperation. On the other side, the junta continues to rely on a mix of regular infantry, artillery, firepower, and air support. The Tatmadaws' doctrine has been to use smaller ground patrols to lure or fix PDF units before calling in heavy weapons or airstrikes. Sagaing has been subjected to repeated bombardment, with reports of jets, helicopters and drones conducting lethal missions whenever a firefight drags on. Although unconfirmed for the Lalim incident, it is consistent with junta strategy that air support or indirect fire would have been prepared if the contact line persisted for long. The stakes are even higher because of the cross-border dimension. Tamu's proximity to Manipur means that every firefight risks spilling into Indian territory. Refugees frequently cross the border during such escalations, and on more than one occasion, Indian security forces have become directly involved. In May 2025, for instance, the Assam Rifles reportedly killed 10 Myanmar resistance fighters near Tamu in a shock encounter. This underlines how delicate the ground situation is. Indian forces are wary of resistance groups operating too freely near their boundary, while the junta seeks to exploit the frontier's complexities to its advantage. The August 23 incident at Lalim thus encapsulates multiple strands of this larger story. Tactically, it was an ambush and counter-ambush scenario with a handful of casualties. Operationally, it showed the agility of resistance forces to reinforce one another across ethnic and organizational lines. Strategically, it was part of the broader struggle to maintain or break the encirclement of Tamu. Politically, it highlighted the risk of border destabilization that continues to worry India and complicates regional diplomacy. Civilian impacts cannot be overlooked. Every battle, however small, forces villagers to flee or take shelter in precarious conditions. In January 2025, for example, thousands fled similar fighting in Tamu Township toward India. Lalim's residents almost certainly faced displacement, either temporarily crossing the border or hiding in fields until the clash ended. These cycles of displacement deepen the humanitarian crisis in Sagaing, already one of Myanmar's hardest-hit regions. For the junta, losses at Lalim, if as heavy as resistance sources claim, would erode morale and further constrain their ability to patrol effectively. For the resistance, rapid reinforcement success boosts confidence, but also risks exposing units to aerial retaliation if the Tatmadaw escalates. For India, the clash is another reminder that the border remains unstable and volatile, with both humanitarian and security consequences. What remains uncertain are the confirmed casualty figures, the duration of the firefight, and whether any territory was indeed captured. Resistance claims suggest that areas previously held by the junta and allied forces were taken, but no independent confirmation has emerged. This is a recurring problem in covering Sagaing. Rural battles are often documented only through local social media or partisan channels, with mainstream outlets catching up days or weeks later, if at all. Nevertheless, when placed against the documented trend lines of the Tamu front, the Lalim clash is credible in its outline. It fits the pattern of small unit patrols being ambushed, rapid reinforcement by PDFs and ethnic allies, heavy exchanges of fire, and disputed casualty claims. It also aligns with the wider strategy of tightening the blockade of Tamu while the junta seeks to punch corridors through the cordon. From a news analysis perspective, the Lalim incident illustrates the persistence of the war's stalemate. Neither side holds enough overwhelming force to dominate Sagaing outright. The resistance has momentum and local support, but remains vulnerable to air and artillery strikes. The junta has heavier weaponry but is stretched thin and forced to defend long supply lines. This equilibrium translates into a grinding conflict, where villages like Lalim become battlegrounds in a broader war of attrition. Zalengam Media Disclaimer: this report is compiled from multiple sources, including regional media, open source monitoring, and resistance-linked accounts. Thank you for watching. Please do share this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe our channel.